Greetings.
Greetings.
Hi. Thank you for holding space.
Of course. Thanks for joining us today, Vanessa. How are you feeling?
Really full of just in community and beautiful little connections this rising. So, yeah, very full of just happiness and just being in the moment, really.
I love that. The present moment, the power of now. I love already you're talking about community and connections. What a reflection, what do you feel have been some of the divine connections you've already experienced today?
There is a beautiful farm by my home that has like foods that they make, and just talking with people who are looking to consume more aligned to their body so that they can live a more healthier life. I did that already, and just, sitting in the water with a beautiful cat by me, that was lovely.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just all those like different levels of connection.
And this is the Turnbuckle Farm you're speaking of?
Yeah, yep, you know it. Yep,
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Whereabouts is it? For people who don't know where you are in the world, where are you?
So I'm in what they like to call NWA, which is Northwest
Okay.
Arkansas,
Okay.
which is all. I know, I know.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was raised on Ice Cube and Easy E and
I'm
Snoop
I'm from
Dogg and
Detroit. I'm from
okay,
Detroit, so
got
I'm raised in Detroit till I was 30. Like,
it caught
yep.
me. It caught me just like it took me a delay. There was a delay. You got me. You got
Yep.
me with that one. That was a good one.
That's what they
That was a good one.
call it. That's what they call it.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You
Hmm.
gotta you gotta go on stage, Vanessa. You gotta be we need you in stand up. We need you.
I don't
We
know. I
need
mean,
you.
I could maybe. I did lots of acting, but and I am my best character.
Okay, so you're a fellow thespian. You've been in the theater.
Yeah. Do you know forensics?
Talk about it.
Forensics is like competitive speech and acting in
Mm.
schools. It's the study of communication. So I did that from seventh grade to 4 years in college.
Whoa.
So yeah,
From
yeah.
set.
I just, yeah, I just couldn't. There's a part of like selling yourself that I couldn't do for acting. So yeah, I just couldn't go all the way. So.
Okay, and I guess, for those who aren't really in the know about what that means, what would it mean to go all the way? Like what was the compromise that Vanessa said, nah.
The idea, like, you have to play some characters you really don't resonate with or don't want to live in. I mean, acting, they say, is acting, but
Mm.
in reality, you're taking on that energy. You are that being. You are thinking in their ways. And to me, relationship is the highest peak in my life, the thing that I seek,
Mhm.
so that if I'm in love with someone else and then I'm acting like I'm in love with another person, that's a place I couldn't divide. I couldn't risk losing what I feel like I came here
Okay.
for a job.
Okay. So
Yeah.
there's almost like that's a great explanation. So just, so that I can gather it
Mm-hmm.
correctly. So there's like a conflict of interest there. There's almost like a cognitive dissonance
Mm-hmm.
where we have to find the separation between two situations.
Yeah. And I guess some people can do it. Like, I guess they can, but I don't know that I can.
Okay.
You like, you
So,
feel it so
mm,
deeply. Like,
mm,
can I do that? I don't know that I want to walk that path. And like the things you have to do to get the roles or whatever they say. I wasn't willing to sell my beliefs and like now I don't even wear makeup. So like I don't stand a chance, you know, doing a stage thing because I'm like, I'm not going to put poison in my face
Right.
to get a role.
Right.
You know?
Your
Yeah.
standards have risen. Yeah.
So,
Oh,
yeah. So I'm me. That's the best character, right? But
hey.
I love the thespian space. Poetry was my favorite in forensics. So I
Yeah.
see you.
I mean, I could feel your poetry just now. I mean, I don't know if you know it. Of course, you're a poet. You
Always.
know, when you said that relationships are the peak that I seek, you know, I said, ooh, okay. I said, okay, Vanessa. You know, she said it's the peak that I seek. I said, speak, speak,
Yes.
speak to
Yes.
me.
Yes.
You know. So this is awesome because I feel very resonant with you already. You know, I definitely went through, you know, the theater program. Acting was my favorite. You know, it was my favorite subject in high school. And then I got my bachelor's arts in college for performing arts and theater. So, you know, when you're unable to, I guess, separate the Vanessa on stage and shed that to the Vanessa at home, you know, to be able to separate the two and kind of like divide the two because, you know, they had me as I was a preacher, I was a pastor, I was a pimp, I was a, you know, I was
Yeah.
all sorts of different characters.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, people go, you know, when people get into that method of acting, you do it for long enough, you can lose who you are. Yeah, you
Exactly.
can.
And I do think, though, there is a beautiful part of acting
Mm-hmm.
and performance that allows us to feed those archetypes because there is the archetype of the hood rat in me from where I grew up that loves to do the twerk out on the dance floor because that's what I can do. And I feed that and I don't get mad at her. I'm just like, yeah, that's what she's doing and she likes it. It doesn't mean that I'm that all the time
Right.
and she doesn't have the wheel, you know.
Okay.
So it's this roundabout because you know sometimes you are the preacher.
Right.
Sometimes you're in that space and you can feel it and your voice change like you embody that and that's beautiful.
Okay.
But then I also don't like being told what to do. So
Very true.
so in acting when they're like do that I'm like not really sure how I feel about that. Yeah.
They cracked the whip on you a few
Yeah, I'm like,
times.
I don't really know about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
So
see its
you.
need.
Mm-hmm.
I would love for it to be
Mm-hmm.
reinvested in society in a different way. And I
Mm-hmm.
know it will be. Our
Okay.
stories are around fires, right?
Right.
Like our story, like this is not new.
Mm.
It's just evolved.
Right.
So it'll just evolve again.
Right.
I'll be there
Your,
for it.
your, your evolution. You know,
Yeah.
it's a revolution. You
Yeah.
know, for
Yes.
sure.
To the
I,
solution.
there it is. There it is. I love it, Vanessa. I love it. Just the way that you break it down, you know, so eloquently and just, you know, you are very present. You are very in the moment, just as I'm feeling your energy right now. Because, you know, it's fascinating the ability to be able to compartmentalize pieces of your consciousness. You know, when you're saying, okay, there is the hood rat, Vanessa, there's the ratchet, Vanessa, but she can be in the passenger seat or the back seat.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
she
She's pretty
doesn't
much back there.
she doesn't have to take the wheel.
No.
Okay. Okay. When did you learn how to do that, or have you always had that ability, that
Uh,
gift?
I very much remember very clearly in my early 20s that there was this mask that we would put on for work and certain things. And I was like, what is that? Like, what is this change that's happening? Is that bad? Am I real? Am I faking it? And then one of my favorite beings in existence is Clarissa Pincolas Estes. She studies Jungian psychology
Okay.
from a woman's perspective. And it's very Spanish. It's very indigenous. It's very authentic. in her like grew up poor. Fairy tales are how we see our archetypes. And when she showed me Women Who Run with Wolves is her famous book. Baba Yaga and the Maiden and the Mother and the Queen. I was like, oh, wow. Okay. So that's why sometimes I am this nurturing, amazing mother, but then sometimes I am the sorceress that is just like moving stuff and focused on me. And that's okay.
Right.
And so when I really allowed that, I was like, oh, then I can see that wounded child when like I get twerked in a situation and I can feel myself wanting to cry. And I was like, do I want to cry? Or does little Vanessa need to cry? And can I see Vanessa and still do it? I'm not going to negate it, but realize that like I am not a crybaby, which I would never call myself that. But you know what I'm saying? I'm not being over emotional. But I need to feel something in this moment. And I think it's coming from something in the past, and that's fine.
Yeah.
So almost in all moments, I'm like, ooh, that's like hood rat Vanessa wants to do that. Or even what I need to consume. Like I transitioned into a plant lifestyle like most people don't.
Right.
And I didn't give myself any grace. And that was dangerous, which can make people yo-yo. And I was like, whoa, okay, I want chips right now. Who is that? Is that little Vanessa? Oh, what is that feeding? What am I remembering when I do this? And it's helped me back away from them to not be like in every consumption thing. It's like, oh, Vanessa wants this right now, and that's okay.
Right.
And it might change.
Right.
So, yeah.
You know, you show like so many signs of maturity because there's a quote, I don't remember who said it. It was a lady who said it. But she said, only the most mature of us are able to be childlike. Like it takes, you know what I'm saying? Like it takes a very, a very highly evolved, highly developed, mature person to be childlike, to keep the inner child alive, to keep that inner flame burning, and just that inner yearning. So when it comes to the little Vanessa, like what are some of the things that you do to keep the little Vanessa alive? Like she's never gone, but how do you keep her alive?
So something that's really, I'll just say it, triggering to people around me is I'm like, well, I'm not an adult. Like I just straight up like, not an adult. I don't know what term that is, but I'm not here for it. I'm not here for the parameters. That's just a little thing that for my clock-in job, I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm not an adult for that. Or this is child-proof, can't do it. Like, I'll say that a lot. But really, I mean, as you see, it's skating. Skating lets me move in ways that, I mean, it hits people in different ways. They think I'm doing something for something, but really it's me an unweaving of energy, or they think it's absolutely amazing and they're just encapsulated by the moment, but always just curious because you can tell me anything, but until I feel it, it means nothing. Until I see it, it is nothing. It's really nothing. It's an idea. It's your truth. But until it's in my body, it's a thought, it's a theory, it's a possibility. But it always keeps me curious. Like someone says, now this is good for you. Okay, well, let me see if it actually is. And if it's not, I'm just gonna let it go. So it's curious and just like so compassionate. Like I'm always learning. I'm on chapter 40, which is 40 years old. I don't like to say years are old, but I'm on chapter 40 and
You're so young.
Yeah. Yeah. And like it's amazing chapter. And a lot of people think you have to be a certain way in it. And I'm just here to like say, hey, you could have kids at 80, like real.
Wow.
Like you can be whatever you want. So that's just how I take it.
Amazing, amazing. I love your perspective, you know. I just love your perception, and just to have that, because you know, when it comes to what you were talking about, there were some things that you were going along the lines before with it reminded me of HSP. Have you ever heard of a HSP? They call them. There's like people use these
Mm-hmm.
terms to say that somebody is highly sensitive. Like this is a highly sensitive person,
Yes.
as though, the alternative would be more, like amiable for somebody to be highly numbed,
Yeah.
to be highly sensitive, or, like what's the alternative
Mhm.
to be sensitive? Like what's the alternative for sensitivity?
Yeah.
So when somebody doesn't have the proclivity for sensitivity, it seems like they're just kind of numbed out.
Yep.
So when it comes to being emotional, you said something to the effect of, you know, not too emotional. Like I don't want to just shed tears. I don't want to cry and just have all sorts of flowing, emotions. What would you say, in your opinion, Vanessa, is too emotional?
I used to go to a hysteric as a child, like hysterical.
Okay.
It's not that it was bad, but from what I've learned in human design,
Hmm.
I need to ride that emotional wave and not just stay on its peak.
Okay.
And I was obviously in a very traumatic situation for many years of my life, so my nervous system was dysregulated.
Oh,
So when I say too emotional, it's like I want to be the victim
oh,
in it. And I want you to see me as the victim, and I'm going to live in the victim. To me, that's too emotional. Yes, there is pain, and it needs to be seen,
mhm.
but how can I move with it instead of staying in
In
that space? Do I want to
okay,
grow with it, or do I just want to wallow and I want you to feel bad for me and all this stuff happened to me? Oh my God. And no,
right.
I don't want to stay in it. So, like,
Hmm.
I was listening to this book called The Map by David Diana. He's an actor.
Okay.
It's amazing. But it literally, like, this point came up and he was talking about how, like, parents are raised by broken parents.
Mm.
You have to just realize that. And I just started bawling. Like, I could almost start crying right now, but it was just beautiful. Like, I just cried and I was like, oh, yeah, okay. And then I just went on. I
Yeah.
didn't have to know, like, where it came from or anything. I just let it go. I let it
Yeah.
flow. And so that's like that. When I'm just lost in it, I want you to feel bad for me. That would be too emotional.
Okay.
That would be my victim in the driver's seat.
So wanting to wallow in the
Mm-hmm.
depths of that, like how people say, when it comes to pain and trauma, some people, they sit with it, some people settle in it,
Mm-hmm.
and then some people cement themselves inside
Mm-hmm.
it,
Yes.
and they stay stuck for quite a long time.
Identity.
Yeah.
They identify with
Right.
it. It is them. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Wow. What you said is very telling. It's also very resonant about parents are raised by broken parents. There were so many times in my life, in my younger years, with all the divorces and the arguments and the disputes and the anger, the feuds and just the fights and the fusses and the cusses and all of that stuff. I never realized, because for the most part, I guess people look up to their parents in some way. In some way, they revere them as some figure, because they came from them, they came through them. It's like a soul coming through someone's body, and you look up to them thinking that they have the answers, when in reality, as you're growing up, they're growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're growing up at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
like both of you. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand that for so long. I didn't understand, like, this is their first time doing this, like they
Yeah.
haven't done this before. This is, you know,
And most of them started as children,
right,
like at 20. Like, I had 20-year-old, that's a child.
right.
I'm 40 and I don't have the gift of children yet, but still I'd be like, whoa, I got stuff I gotta do,
Yeah.
before I could like help you along the way.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's just this beautiful grace that like they
Grace.
did the best they could do with what they had. And if I'm gonna hold that, that's on
Mm,
me.
mm.
It's not them.
Wow, wow. If
That,
it
you know,
were,
I don't have to get anything from them.
mm,
It's, you know, I have to let go of that and just be like, cool, it's fine. And give myself
right.
grace, like, you know, but I had an abusive parent in my life from 2 to 7, you know, those very pivotal, very important, and it was a masculine.
Oh,
And so I constantly go back to, like, I'll tell people and I'll be like, yeah, I know what it's like to like flinch, you know, but I'm not that anymore. That was an old chapter. And I've forgiven that person on so many levels because his experience was far worse than mine.
mm,
You know, like I got the somewhat healed version, as weird as that sounds, you know. So like that's the grace I got that was filtered through. And you know what? I have transmuted that in ways that it no longer exists. It will not be passed on
whoa,
anymore. So
whoa. Tremendous. Oh man, I commend you. I
thank you.
commend you for that. You
Thank you.
know, like just seriously, you know, that level of acceptance, that level of grace is such a powerful word, grace. And
Mm,
just to have that compassion and even forgiveness, like what did it take you? What was like, what did it take you to have that level of forgiveness, experiencing that from the age of 2 to 7? Like,
mm.
how did you have that? Like, what did it take?
I mean, think it's continuous.
Okay.
There are times when something comes up, I'm like, oh wow. Recently, someone told me how they took their like 11-year-old daughter to Greece, this beautiful trip, father daughter, and I felt my like heart just go, like how much I would wanted that, you know, well, how much I wanted. I had like moments like that with a beautiful masculine who raised me as his daughter
Mm-hmm.
later in life, but how much I wanted that masculine, like safety, and how much I'm ready for that in my own relationships, in like a partner.
Mm-hmm.
But also, it's just seeing that, like, I mean, through my plant medicine work really helped in like 2018 when I started with ayahuasca. That really helped just break down some barriers
Mm-hmm.
and just be like, wow, this is raw. This is real inside of you. Um, and then just sit with it again and again. And just through the learning of like Clarissa Pinkolas Estes and then How to Do the Work by Nicole LaPrea, of just like seeing my parents for what they were, as the broken children of their experience. And then in all moments of like, yeah, he yelled because he didn't know how to
Mm.
communicate. Those weren't his, that he wasn't given that map. How am I going to get mad at him because he didn't know how to find a place that he never has been to? I'm yelling at a child. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Like, I'm yelling at a child. So is it not the true embrace of, even later in life, I had a partnership who I'd never experienced physical abuse in a partnership until then.
Mm.
And I gave that partner my dog that loved him more. I could not keep something I loved away from something that loved someone else more.
Wow.
So I gave my love to someone who, in return, hurt me, but also I hurt them. You know, it's not, there's no ship that's not one way, right? And that I had to live with, like, I have to trust that this dog's going to be okay. I love
Mm.
them, and that they're going to be in a safe space with them, and I can't keep them away. Like, that's not love. That's not me truly loving that dog to keep them away from something they love more.
Okay.
So that
So,
was a big, like, that helped a lot actually,
yeah,
to really, really help me realize my own compassion and my ability for compassion. Of like, I forgive you. I'm going to give you my love.
right.
My,
And, and you would say the ability to let go,
mm-hmm,
like to relinquish,
mm-hmm,
is also love, you're
mm-hmm.
saying.
And loving me too. I mean, what? I'm the only one holding on to it. Like, if I'm gonna keep that, I'm keeping it.
Mm.
You don't see the billboard. Like, it's in me. It's eating me. So my deepest love is like, I'm gonna let it go. Really. Like they say, right? If you love it, let it go.
Wow.
Let it move freely. There's a book by Osho called Cohen, Aloneness and Relationships. I might have mixed up the words, but he really speaks about that, of this freedom of like, if you really love something, let it be free, let it move freely. Don't chain it down.
Okay.
And just move and
Sure.
trust. You're not going to get hurt. You can't fail. You can't fail. You're not going to miss out on anything. Like, I'm not going to miss anything. I'm not going to keep you because I'm going to miss you. Like, if you are not meant for me, something more aligned will come. It's fine. You know what I'm saying? And there we go.
Yeah.
Down the river of life.
The river of life. You
Yeah.
know, one of the things I love about you, Vanessa, one thing I love about you is that, you know, they say that the mark of intelligence is having someone being able to explain something complex and make it so simple that even a child could understand. And
Yes.
you have that gift. Like, you have the ability to make these concepts that we love to complicate. We love to make it hard. We love to make it just all of this, but you're just bringing it right down here. You know, that this is where it is. This is all it is.
It's
You know?
all. It's all. Yeah. It's so many times, like, let's say that me and you are speaking on a very teal level. And
Okay.
teal is by spiral dynamics, saying that in society we are different colors. I don't like higher than lower, but different colors of vibration. I want to speak to orange because that's what mostly the society is orange right now. If I'm speaking and yelling at teal, ain't nobody gonna hear me. It's not gonna happen. There's gonna be teal people who do, and that's cool. I'm collecting that. But a lot of the people I communicate with day to day, I'm not helping at all. If I'm always up here, whatever,
Right.
in this orange thing, when they're all in teal, or you know what I'm saying? I mixed up the whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's making it so it's all
Yeah.
digestible. Like, we don't have to be in a different, like, I went to this many schools or studied this many things. Like,
Yeah.
just be in community.
You're right.
Because I think this segues into a really beautiful thing. I wanted like this community of women, and I thought of us all around like a fire, and it's, you know, women who might look like me and stuff like that. And I was like, I really need this community of women. And then I looked around and I was like, I just started a job with a community of women on the whole scale of rainbows that are all different ages and that I'm connecting with. What am I asking? I just got what I wanted better. Like,
Yeah.
what am I? So you don't really know what you want, is what I came to.
The manifestation, you
Yeah.
know? That was a
Yeah.
whole manifestation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I can connect with them.
Right. Your vibe attracts your tribe.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Sounds
So, yeah,
you really
that's what I like to do.
pulled that in. I love this. I love this. You know, I smiled when you said orange because orange is actually my favorite color. I didn't even know if you knew that. I was like,
No.
she's psychic. I said, she's psychic. Hold on now. She was like, she said, I want to speak to orange. I said, hold on. Wait a minute. That's my favorite
Smell it.
color. Yeah, not many people know that. But oh my gosh, you know, earlier, Vanessa, you were talking about, you know, you use these words. I love you're very intentional with your language. You know, like you were talking about forensics, communication, you know, just having that vibration of your vernacular, you know, keeping it in that range of where you want to be in, you know, your consciousness. So when it comes to divine masculine, divine feminine, these words that you speak of, when you put divine on the end of it, what do you feel like, you know, through your experience that you've noticed, what's one thing that people don't really understand about the divine masculine. And what's one thing people don't get about the divine feminine?
Mm.
Like what's one thing? Yeah.
This is lovely. Well, first off, they're all evolving. But we can do so much outside of us, but until as I'm pointing to our vagus nerve, our nervous system is in balance, all of the things that we learn or stack on can't really integrate, and especially into our voice. And we have to experience a lot, and sometimes people would call trauma, but just contrast to integrate those things. If everything was just hoity and fun all the time, it's obviously not gonna like make depth
Right.
and understanding. So when I say divine masculine, it's the ability to hold space for the woman to be wild. And wild, people think of so many things. I mean, she can be naked in the woods. That is perfectly wild and beautiful. It's not sexual because of nudity, but it is to that extreme. People will come up with these things of like, wild, what does that mean? She's going to be a sorceress of doing. No, it's being able to follow that flow, being able to dress or move in a way that might be out of the program, but so aligned to her, and you be okay with her being wild. You won't know her next step. You will never know her next step. That is a true divine feminine. You will not be able to predict. She will always be changing and growing. One day she is red, tomorrow she is orange, and that's okay. She is still her. Sometimes she's the child you need to hold, and sometimes she's the mother you never had. But that's not that she is that always. It's
Right.
she's just giving a part of that love and holding space for you.
Right.
You know, it's so much that people think this divine feminine is of such love and light, and everything is great, and I will make your house and cook your food, but I will not be naughty or looking bad. You know what I'm saying? There's this idea, and it's beautiful. It could be that, but is that really her? What is she holding back? What is she not hearing? What does she want to scream that she does not scream? You know, and then the masculine is this, gosh, the masculine's amazing. I'm just so happy that in my lineage, the masculine has been demonized in some ways of like failing, you know, or hurting us. And I love the masculine, even in all the ships that I've been in and that have not. I'm, you know, not in a ship right now. So in the ships that I've been in and that have not gone the way I thought, I still love the masculine. The ability to have this fire and hold space, but the vulnerability of the masculine, when they open, when they say, hey, I don't actually know how to do this. Can you help me?
Right.
And that's this divine companionship of like, some days I'm going to pick you up and some days you're going to pick me up. And that doesn't mean you're less of a man. Like, it doesn't mean that I'm less of a woman.
Right.
It's just, we are in community with each other moving. And so, yeah, I mean, I love seeing dads, you know, playing with their kids and like holding space. I love witnessing all these different levels of masculine, like men hugging each other and like really embracing the masculine of each other and seeing each other. I love that.
Wow.
I love that. Need more of that.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
You're really speaking. You're really speaking, Vanessa. Like the things that you're saying feel very like ancestral and very sacred. You know, there's a sacredness and just this ancestral quality to just the tone, you know, that you carry with you. It just feels ancient. It feels like you're helping us remember things that we've forgotten. You know, like these are wonderful reminders of our, like I love you use the word lineage, you
Mm-hmm.
know, like our lineage, the line, you know, like the bloodline that goes all the way back,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
just to trace that back and to say like, remember, you know, who you are, like where you came from, who you came from,
Mm-hmm.
you know, remember the lineage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That I found out about 5 years ago that my great grandmother was of the Amazonian tribes of Brazil,
Whoa.
the Tupi Guarani. I
Whoa.
think I might be slaughtering that, but hopefully not.
Okay.
um, and I've always kind of known that. I've always known it. I've seen it in medicine journeys and stuff like that. And I'm a big fan of Dune, the
Mm.
book
Yeah.
Dune.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's all about breeding the superhuman in essence.
Yeah.
And a part of my life, I was a dog breeder, and that's actually what I named my kennel. And I played upon those words for my own. I thought I wanted to do that for my whole life,
Yeah.
and I did not. But anyways, uh, I still believe that it's all in here.
Yeah.
We've just lost access to the
Mm.
archives,
Mm.
the archives that are lost. And that's what the whole premise of Dune is taking the spice, which I believe would be transferable to
Okay.
DMT,
Okay.
in the idea of accessing all archives. So to be truthful, like I've just been fully talking to my intuition.
Mm.
Like when that voice comes up, I ask because I've learned that I need questions to feel it in my body.
Mm-hmm.
Like I need somebody outside of me to say, hey, would you like to do this? And I have to feel it before I say it.
Mm.
So I just do it to myself because I don't have somebody around to do that. And so when something comes up, I'll say it out loud and be like, okay, well, what does this feel like?
Mm.
Oh, okay, that maybe I won't do that. That doesn't feel good.
Right.
So then I'm tuning my intuition back on,
Right.
so that like one day I was looking for something and I was like, where is it? I know where it is. And I just closed my eyes and I saw it and I went to the drawer and it was there. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. We have superpowers.
We do.
Like, okay, got it. There's just not lasers coming out of
Right.
my eyes. Okay, that's fine.
It's more subtle. It's more
Yeah.
subtle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It's not overt, but we definitely
mm,
do have, you know, these super natural
mhm.
capabilities.
Yeah,
Capabilities and just
natural.
the, yeah, natural, just the potential for so much, you know, wonder, so much magic that people would consider fantastical and unreal and surreal and just over there, but it's right, it's all inside, like you said, it's all here. And you know, Vanessa, I love that you give these wonderful examples and these parallels, you know, between the pages throughout the ages, like Dune, you
Yes.
know, the Dune series. You know, I haven't read the book fully. I've watched the movies. I'm still
Mm-hmm.
reading the book by Frank
Mm-hmm.
Herbert, but I know
Ooh,
the
you know the name.
but the Kwisatz Haderach was
Kwisatz
like
Haderach.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, the Kwisatz Haderach. It was like this Superman or superhuman. They wanted to create the Bene Gesserit. They wanted
Mm-hmm.
to, you know, form this thing, and there were just so many. Speaking of bloodlines, right? Speaking of the lineage, they just knew they were planning these divine feminine, you
Mm-hmm.
know, of the Bene Gesserit. They were planning for generations.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they had machinations for
Yes.
generations, like way in advance. Like
Mm-hmm.
you just have no idea how long we've planned, how long we've plotted, how long we've connected these dots that you have no idea
Mm-hmm.
that you know this person has to meet that person and then this person is going to connect to that person and then that's going to make, you know, it's just amazing just to see how everything
Mm-hmm.
connects.
Yeah, it truly is all connected. All
Wow.
connected. And it's a great way of seeing that, like, there is so much magic within
Mm.
us. We often look outside of us.
Right.
And as a child, I always knew I had superpowers. I loved superpower movies because I was like, I have superpowers.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm like finally getting, like, it's not Morgan Freeman that's my intuition and my voice. I thought that that's what it would sound like, but it's not. I kind of wanted it, but it's not. It's actually much more relatable because I think it'd be weird if there was a guy's voice in my head. But you know, um, it's it's these subtle things that I'm like, oh wait, I'm tuned in right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is aligned. Okay, I'm gonna keep following this path
Mm-hmm.
because someone who is radically amazing, Jessa Reed, said something. She said, obstacles are the oracle to pivot. And it's not that, like, she's not saying it like, oh, something's hard, don't try it. Because, like, roller skating, yeah, I've fallen a bunch of times and I'm
Mm-hmm.
amazing at it. But if, like, there's a roadblock saying it's not, you're not supposed to try harder, there's probably a better way
Ah,
that's more aligned.
okay,
Yeah, you
okay.
know, like, it's not, because the program is try harder, work
Mm-hmm.
harder, you know? But why? Why would we ever set up something like that?
Right.
Why would why would divine want us to like struggle super hard? They actually it's kind of made for us. But if you want to struggle, like maybe you're not doing that thing. You could have gone the other
Mm-hmm.
way. You
Yeah.
know?
It's, you
So
know, it's like how they say rejection is redirection,
yes,
you know?
exactly. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay. And you know, you see examples of this, Vanessa. I know you see it in nature.
Yes.
You know, like you said today, or when you were at the Turnbuckle Farm,
Mm-hmm.
you say sometimes you spend time in water.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, water is just a wonderful force, like a wonderful power that it never you never see it try to like if there's a wall, it's not gonna go up and over the
Nope.
wall. You know, it's just gonna find
Yep.
the path of least resistance.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yep.
where is the path of least resistance that I
Yeah.
can make my way?
Mm-hmm.
And it's still a force. You know,
Yeah.
water is I mean, it's so soft, but it can chip through rock.
Yes.
It can erode, you know, minerals and just
Mm-hmm.
it can break down earth,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Exactly. And that's what it's just finding that fine spot. It's not saying don't
Right.
try, but recognize like I've noticed like even on like a dog walk, I was like, oh, there's a dog that way. I don't really want to go that way. I know that dog's like really anxious.
Mm,
I'm gonna go the other way. And then I went the other way and I like experienced this beautiful hike and I was like, oh, obstacles are the oracle to
ah,
pivot. Like that's what I see. Those little obstacles is really the most, not like big ones. I've seen some big ones, but it's just like, oh, that's not open yet. Let me go do this. Oh, I made this beautiful connection. Wow. You know, the plan doesn't have to be concrete. You have to kind of
yeah,
flow.
yeah.
If it's concrete, there's too much restriction to allow curiosity.
Mm,
Like you're not allowing, if you know what every day looks like, you're not allowing the magic in.
mm.
If you got everything planned and cemented, like what magic can slip in because you got it all figured out. Like,
Right. Right. So
you know?
just Groundhog Day all over again.
Yeah. Oh, yay.
Yeah. Just
Not
I
here for
see what you
that.
mean. Just bring in the magic. So, you know, it doesn't have to be tragic. We can embrace all that magic. When you're
Mm-hmm.
talking about you know, earlier you mentioned, and I also love that you spoke on, you went to your vagus nerve and you talked about the nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
There was a wise woman, Vanessa, a wise lady once told me that success is a regulated nervous system.
Yep. That's it. That's
Her,
it. There is nothing else.
her name was Eva. Her name is Eva Young. She told me this. She told me, and I
Yep.
never forgot what she said it. Eva, she said, success is a regulated nervous system. Like what does that click for you?
Oh, man. So I went on this journey at the age of 25. I was 200 pounds.
Okay.
I'm not 200 pounds anymore, obviously.
Mhm.
But I mean, that was just weight, right? Waste that
Right.
couldn't leave my body. And my nervous system was jacked. And I lost the weight, but my nervous system was still jacked. I was still very much in the program of like, I'm a good worker. I work hard. I have no boundaries. Yay. I'm the best worker. Gold star, you know, all of that stuff. And I looked healthy, but my mind was not.
Mm.
So then I've continued to go on this journey. I moved to NWA, and now I can't say that without smiling. And so then I moved here and went into yoga. No, I'm sorry. I went to plant medicine first.
Okay.
And I went to plant medicine first, and there was people there that were in bodies that were not moving well. I'm very conscious of the body because I moved my body out of pain, but I still did not feel balanced. And so I went into medicine, but I saw that those bodies were still in pain, but they had some more balance. And I'm like, okay, this isn't it. So I'm the one that's like, I don't pick one and I'm like, this one's it. And I'm going to stay there forever. No, I'm definitely like, oh, okay, I got what I needed from this. I'm going out to something else now. And then I moved into yoga and I was like, okay, their bodies are somewhat working, but there's still so much impingement. There's not mobility. And so then I was like, all right. In 2020, I stepped away from being clocked in. I've been lucky enough I went 5 years without having to clock in to a job.
Okay.
Which is still stressful, but trying to figure out the energetic exchange. But I was able to rest a lot. And as that rest finally sat in and I was able to do nothing and not feel guilty, that was wild. I still feel like sometimes I'm doing nothing and then I'm like, wait, I've been on burnout for 35 years. Like, calm down. You're fine. Like, you can spend a day actually just sitting and that's fine. And when I felt that, and then after my ship, which was extremely transformative, I will never negate that those 2 years took me 10 years into the future. Wow. But my throat was so tight after that ship. I was like, what is going on? And I was doing all of the detoxes, but I wasn't getting, I have horrific pictures of like the lymphatic that wasn't draining out of my face. And my neck was so tight. And then, it's funny that you said it, this book, The Vagus Nerve, The Power of the Vagus Nerve.
Yeah.
He does movement with regulating your nervous system. And so then I now have learned fascia as well.
Okay.
And so I've created this program around movement, lymphatic drainage, which is your term and I, and fascia, because it doesn't matter what you do, what you eat, what you say you think, if your nervous system's hijacked. I've done 72 hours of dry fasting and I didn't get what I wanted out of it because I was in that ship. You know what I'm saying? I was hijacked. My body couldn't relax. So when I left that ship and I was just eating veggies, I healed in ways that no detox had ever gotten me there before that. Wow. Because my nervous system was unwound. Okay. No healing happens when the nervous system's hijacked. Okay. If you're doing a dry fast and you're like freaking out, you might as well eat a chicken. Because you know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing happening. Wow. The body's in overload. Wow. It's not going to heal. And so when I actually felt that in my own body, I was like, oh, wow, I don't have to be raw vegan right now. I could eat cooked vegetables and just love myself, and my body is healing tremendously. And that's okay for right now. Is it forever? No, but right now it works. And I'm going to hold space for my nervous system.
Beautiful.
So yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for that breakdown. Yeah, thank you just for your honesty and just like how forthcoming you are with your experience, because like you see Eva down here, she's just saying it's very relatable, it's very resonant. She's saying your story and experience is highly similar to mine.
Oh, okay.
So
see it.
People can really feel it, in their heart space. Once you help them get out of the head space, they can feel it in the heart place very deeply. So it just sounds like, so many journeys, like when you're talking about going on journeys, especially when communing with, plant medicine, with Mother Aya. When you said in 2018 was when you communed with ayahuasca.
Yeah, and I've done it several times after that.
Okay.
But 2018 was my first step,
Yeah.
and I did it
Yeah.
for a year straight in 3 months, like 3 months off, and then on for a
Whoa.
few days.
Okay.
And that was intentionally by that group,
Okay.
because your nervous system has to reset. I don't think people realize how much like they'll love festivals or love going to Peru or even love traveling. I love talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't realize it's because their nervous system's out of its usual stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yay, everything's great. Like the car could break down and they're like, it's great, it's fine, it's divine. And they're like, oh, I love to travel. This place is so much better because like I feel better. But really it's because they're out of their program of that. You know what I'm saying? So of course it feels better. Yeah, Peru felt great because you weren't in the same space. But if you can be in the same space and feel that peace, what power is in that? What power is in not having to leave your space to feel great or have a space that is great that you don't really have to leave? I mean, you can because you want to,
Right.
but you don't have to leave to feel great. So I hope that
That's
somehow.
powerful. That's powerful. So,
Yeah.
what do you feel, Vanessa, communing with Mother Aya,
Mm-hmm.
what do you feel like ayahuasca gave you that you didn't have before, that you couldn't have explored? What did it give you that you couldn't get anywhere else?
So I practiced many therapies, many things that people would never do.
Mm.
And I'm okay with that because I want to feel it in my body.
Mm-hmm.
I went 2 years with no medicines, no plant medicines, nothing, not even salt, raw vegan, like nothing, no coffee. I know what it's like to take away those things that some people will say sedate or some people say hijacked you. There are many people who are like, I'll never take that because you're allowing too much in. And yeah, in some spaces, I would never take ayahuasca again because I now know I was in spaces that were too many energies that I didn't want to be in. But now I have boundaries on that.
Okay.
Because I have experienced it. But what it did was really just shed away, like, talk about tears. Those first year of ayahuasca, I just cried and cried. Just because like there was one journey that I was in my mom's womb and I was a child born on a condom, birth control, an abortion clinic appointment, and adoptive parents. Like there was a contract that my mom signed that she wasn't getting out of. So like,
Whoa.
like
This like it's like when they, oh my God, oh my God. Okay, so that's a trip. You just gave me flashbacks because there were times where you talk about being in ships, and there were one of the ships that I was in previous, and I was taking preventative measures, to try and not have a child, and she told me straight up, she's like you, she's like straight up, no chaser, she's just gonna give it to you straight, and she was like, hey Jerome, if a soul wants to come through, the soul's coming through.
Yeah.
She told me, and she was like, there's nothing you can do to stop it,
No.
you could try, but if it's time to come through, it's gonna come through. And I said, oh God,
And then you're like, no.
So you're saying basically like you're here on purpose.
Yeah.
For real. For
100%.
Yeah.
And the thing is so many people are like, well, it's like I got to achieve this thing. No, I'm just here to be me.
Yeah.
Just literally here to be me. Experience lots of love, some sadness as well.
You're saying,
but like
the odds were against you from the beginning.
Yeah, for sure. And I felt that. Like ayahuasca let me move through that. and cry in that space and be like what it's feel like to like not be wanted. But then like on the flip side, I am more loved by my mother than any being right now. You know what I'm saying? So she's amazing. She is a goddess in form. She brought me here. I love her. We reparent each other daily. We reconfigure our speech, our mind. It's incredible. But like the journey she had to do, because I'm 40 and I don't have a child. Like I wouldn't want to try that at 20. Like good for you. Thank you. Like, you know, was not the journey I wanted to take.
Okay.
But that's because I'm changing the story. You know, the intentionality of my next moves are intentional to the core. They have been thought for and thought about deeply and felt because I'm breaking that cycle, you know, of, oh, I didn't want a kid, now I have a kid, you know. But, you know, the soul was coming anyways, but the thoughts beforehand. And Mother Ayahuasca's held me in that, but to also deeply say, she has told me that I don't need the medicine.
Okay.
Like, there was one time in 2018 at the very last one, she was like, you need the size of a coffee bean to take what I can give you. And it so deeply occurred again when I went to Tucson and did medicine, and they gave me so little, and they're like, how did you like just, I like stayed on the floor for 8 hours just in it and didn't get another dose. And they're like, how did you get that much? I was like, well, my diet, my lifestyle is so aligned that I have nothing, like I'm not purging medicine because I'm not taking meat. You know what I'm saying? That's a fermentation that's occurring. And, you know, sometimes energetically too, I've done that. But my body takes it and is like, I don't need much. And then I just go. I'm not looking for hallucinogens. My eyes are closed. I keep my eyes closed and my head in the dirt. Like, there ain't nothing outside of me that's going to be cooler than what's going on inside here. And then I just allow it to unweave. And experiencing live music with Mother was transformative because my first experience was recorded. And music live, I was like, oh, wow. So I don't even need to take medicine. I could just sit here in the space and hold space for you guys taking medicine. Cool. Like, that's probably the next step for me in that.
So to be in service in that way, you're saying that's the next step.
Yeah, and that's something I would see myself doing because I don't need a lot of it.
Right.
It's so, and then it makes sense. It comes from the jungles of my own blood, right? So it then makes sense. Well, to me, it's like water. Like, I mean, it doesn't taste like that, but yeah, it's natural. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is beautiful. Beautiful. I love the way you describe it, you know, the way you have reverence and also just now that respectful distance. Like you've now come to a point where you've surpassed and you're able to look at it with love and say, you know what, you know, thank you for giving me what I needed in that moment. You know, now we've moved on to different things. We've turned the page.
Yeah. You know? It's another chapter.
We're in a new chapter.
Yeah. It's so many people are attached to it. You know, we get attached to the honeymoon phase of relationships. We get attached to something new. We're like, this is for me because this feeling. But when you let it come and fizzle into its reality, you're like, well, what was I expecting from this? Or what was I running from? Because you can't really run from anything from any plant medicine. It's going to slam it right in your face. It's a real journey.
Yeah, really quick. And that can be so humbling and so, you know, like not just grounding, but really just humbling for the ego and humbling for somebody who lives in the analytical mind, who lives in the intellect, who lives in the logic. You know, there's nothing to grab onto. There's nothing to hold on to. You just dissolve. You're not like, you have to, hey, buckle up. You know, you're in for a ride. Like, strap in. You know, here we go. Like, you know those people, Vanessa, like if you've ever been on a roller coaster at an amusement park,
Yeah.
some of them, some of the roller coasters, the really big ones, they have the
No.
like these pictures, and they'll take the picture like right on the descent,
Mhm.
you know, as you're descending, like they'll take the picture and they'll
Mhm.
flash. And at the very end, you might see a whole bunch of people in one car of the roller coaster, and they're all like this, like and then
Yeah.
one person is like this, you know, just enjoying the ride, you know. So that's you.
That's
That's
me.
that's you.
I'm like, oh, we haven't experienced any chaos lately. That's probably gonna come up. Oh, there it is.
Here it is.
There
Oh
it is.
man,
Just on time.
divine
I mean,
timing, divine.
yeah, it's just what we learn through, right? It's lovely and it's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay if you've never done it. It's okay if you want to. It's for me to have judgments against people who want to do it every weekend. It's just their experience.
Mm.
You know, do I know that the nervous system is not being able to reset and actually integrate? Yeah, I know that, but it doesn't matter what I tell them, you know.
Yeah.
It's just their journey.
Right.
If they want to hear, I'm here.
Love that. I love that
Yeah.
approach. I love that approach. You know, the last question that I really wanted to
Mhm.
ask you, Vanessa, was, you know, you said that in 2021 you started learning about breatharianism, like the breatharian way of life, like these. I see you smiling. Yeah, like what
I'm
did
just
you
like,
come
how much am I
into?
going to share?
Yeah, like what did you come into just in that in that wavelength, you know, the wavelength or the breatharian bandwidth. What did you come into in 2021 that even turned you on to that style of living?
Um, do you know the Water Bearers website? It's called Water Bearers, Bears. There is another pranic person, Christo, the ancient elite,
Yes,
I
I know
believe.
Crystal.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, I know him personally. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, we were shared a document about distilled waters
Hmm.
and no salt. I read that document. Within 2 days, I quit eating uh, animals.
Okay.
So yeah, I when I say extreme, like I went like because I have had breathing problems since 25,
Oh, okay.
and nobody's been able to fix it. And so that was this journey. If I don't have breath, I can't survive,
Right.
right?
Right.
And I still am exhibiting lots of detox through my lungs, which means I probably need to go into more breath work, which is just another phase that I need to step into. But when I learned that it was the mucus, it was the fermentation in the gut, it was the combination of foods that was inhibiting my breathing,
Mm.
and I stopped. Overnight, I no longer needed Benadryl, Zyrtec, all of these things. I was on prednisone to breathe because I was just not putting those stuff in my body. I was not overloading with mucus. So
Overnight?
they literally like almost overnight. Like, I mean, yeah, I did some heavy, like I trusted the process so hard
Mm.
that there's a big lymphatic cluster in your groin. And I had 104 temp within the first week. And I didn't know lymphatic draining like I do now. So that probably really would have helped. And that's what I'm saying. Like, so many people are like, I'm going to go raw vegan because I'm going to heal myself. But if your lymphatic isn't moving, it doesn't
Mm.
matter. So yeah, I was stuck and I was doing dry brushing, but I should have been doing lymphatic pumping. And like, I've been a part of fasting groups. None of these people know this. This is not being spoken about. So this is just other tools that I have picked up
Mm.
because of that one article I read about salt and just distilled liquids and the power of them. And I was like, okay, so can I really do this? And so I went raw vegan, 7 months, no hiccup, because
Whoa.
the hiccup meaning like, oh, I ate cooked food or ate something.
Mm-hmm.
And that really triggered my partner because I have this really beautiful ability to like cut things off,
Mm-hmm.
which is scary to some people. Like when I quit smoking cigarettes in 2011, I just did it overnight. So I've always just had that ability to just be like, yep, that's not good for me. We're done.
Just cut it. You can just.
We're done.
Wow.
Which I think now you should just not water it because cutting it is too severe. You know, sometimes that makes you go back to things or it leaves a scar. So now I like to just not water those
No.
things anymore.
Oh, you're just not nurturing it. Okay, so you're not
Yeah.
like watering it. I got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's not a scar. Because sometimes when we say never, that means we're going to do it again.
Yes. Yes.
Never going to do that. That doesn't
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. That was, that's one of the things you just tapped into something so tremendous. I hope people understood what you just said because it's phenomenal. Like just to understand what you just said is powerful because circling back, Vanessa, to the inner child, the inner, the little Vanessa, the little Jerome, the little Eva, like we all have a little child like that's still there and that they've never left. We might have left them, but they've never left us. So when I didn't tell my little Jerome, I didn't tell the inner child, hey, I'm never eating again, right? Since I never said never, it was like, okay, let's play. And so I was able to play for like 2.5 years with just liquids. And I never had a feeling of like, oh, I'm depleting. There's more that I'm needing. I'm suddenly receding. Like there was never a feeling of like, I'm weakening in this state because I never told myself I could never eat again or food is off limits forever.
Yes.
So my body didn't exhibit that. So when it comes to yourself, I mean, what was it that the article about distilled water told you about salt?
I knew
that kind of blew your world open.
Well, I mean, I lived 2 years without salt. I'm not gonna lie, like I do eat a little unrefined salt. I do. Compared to the average being, very little. I also eat no amount of protein that they tell me to for like beans and stuff. And I am far stronger than most people in any level of their life. So like I know that I actually don't need it. I know that food is the first drug. Like I know all of these things. But I also know because of urine therapy that salt does things to you and it dehydrates you in a way it does not do whatever people say I'm getting my electrolytes. Like, to be honest with you, I don't believe any of that. I don't believe that they actually know what's going on. I believe that they might have made a script that looks really cool and that they can say this is this and that, but I could do that with art as well. But I don't care to. But I don't eat the recommended amount of foods anymore. I went 2 years without salt, 2 years without caffeine. Was I regulated in my nervous system? No, but I was far healthier than anybody around me physically. Without it. So I know that I know that it's just a drug.
Wow.
That I take because my body likes that.
Oh my God. It's like we're just, it's like we're just surrounded by drug dealers, like drug dealers, like we just go, when you look in the supermarket, you go to the grocery store, everything has salt. Everything has like, you look at the labels and there's stuff you wouldn't even think have salt. It has it,
And milk.
And it's, when you think about just even the inorganic kind of lab grown, the things grown in the lab that are just completely inorganic, that we just consume without thinking. We're not even conscious of what we're putting in our bodies. And I was in that boat. I was on that ship. I was on that, trajectory for so many years. And you're reminding me, I had an interview with a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Dr. Douglas Graham,
Okay.
and he wrote this book called 80-10-10.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh,
he
I've heard
told
of
me
this.
say again?
I've heard of this, but I don't, yeah.
So he told me, Vanessa, that during our interview, he said that he used to be in a boatman, or like he would be out in the boat and out at sea, or he used to be fishing or doing all sorts of stuff. And he remembered that they would always tell you, like when you're out at sea, like don't drink the water
Mm-hmm.
because it'll dehydrate you. You could die of dehydration due to the salt.
Mm-hmm.
And so he said it occurred to him that it was very interesting that there were people who would go out of their way to remove the water
Mm-hmm.
in order to eat the salt.
Mm-hmm.
That was like stripping away the water
Yeah.
in the first place. Like it never occurred to me,
Yeah.
like just putting it on, everything that I was putting it on when I was younger, there was never enough. It was never enough. It was like a drug that you didn't even know that. Yeah.
Give me more.
Boy, like
I love it.
yeah. You're asking the
Yep.
waiter, like, is there salt? Like any, I need
Yep.
more.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, I think really all disease is dehydration.
Wow.
To me, that's all it is. It's just dehydration. It's
Wow.
just dehydration. And like, and I'm still eating food, like I know where I'm at, but I know where I'm at,
Mhm.
and I know where I can go.
Mhm.
And, it is, as you know, somewhat a lonely road sometimes in your own environment when you put those hard restrictions on. And I've had to lift some of them to be approachable somewhat. Because, like, when you are so authentic as a being and so much in your truth, it's really alarming to people around you.
Yeah.
They almost think you're like unreachable or unconnectable.
Your light can be blinding.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm just like, you know what? It's okay. And then I'll just introduce people to really cool fruits and whatever. It's fine. And it'll change.
Mm-hmm.
And, maybe at 60, I'll be a breatharian having a baby. Who knows? I don't really know.
So with your ship with Crystal, with you and Crystal, what did that teach you, that dynamic? Because I've never met him in the physical. What did that dynamic give to you? What did you learn from him? He's kind of like a no excuses kind of guy,
Mm-hmm.
like a just a balls to the wall, like
Yeah.
very.
Yeah.
What did you learn from him?
He's really cool. He was friends with the person that I was dating at the time.
Okay.
So it was cool, like, to watch the masculines play, and then like also see, it just fully showed me that he's on his own journey and he's doing it. But just because you're doing something doesn't mean that your nervous system's regulated. And that's why you won't really often see me take a hard stance on things, that it has to be some way or go all or no all.
Mm-hmm.
I almost try to ever say, like, I try to never say never, really. Mm-hmm. I'll just say it, never say never. Like, never do this. I would never say that, because I don't want that as my reality.
Right.
So I saw that there's somebody who he has achieved great things. Like, we skated for 8 hours one day, like playing, and I know he never drank water. It's like I know he was physically able to keep up, and he's like 15 chapters ahead of me. You know what I'm saying? So like, I was able to see his physical body move and be very strong and aware, and able to see all parts of society and interject. But I also, in kindness, can see where he still has work to do, like all of us. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that is your nervous system, and really like just loving yourself in that space. Yeah. And knowing that like he's an awesome being, and he really just wants to connect and show people those paths. but sometimes being angry about the people who don't see it or do it or something, it really can lead to some deep leakages in you,
I see.
in which you
I see.
lose power.
Yeah.
And so that's just my grace and giving. And like, he knows that, you know, he's a brilliant being. His mind is fantastical. He can build anything. Like, it's pretty cool how fast it goes. I love mines. Mines are the best playgrounds. But you know, we're all human, and it doesn't, there's no hierarchy. I think people put too many people up in pedestals. And that's what was so great of meeting somebody in that space. Of being like, oh, I just started this and this person's here and everyone like, and but you know what? He still has things to learn too, and that's cool, and he knows that.
Yeah.
And he's really vulnerable about that.
For sure.
So yeah, but it showed me it's possible, you know, and that I wasn't the only alien around my space, because that was the hard thing. Like, that's probably why I stayed in my ship as long as I did, because now I'm turquoise and everybody's green, and like, what am I gonna do? You know. So it was a beautiful transformative ship, but I've definitely learned how to give myself grace now, and also learned that I don't yo-yo. You know, like, my worst is like fries. I love fries, but
That's like a guilty. That's what they would call a guilty pleasure.
Feeding that little kid. I love fries. Fries and ketchup are amazing. That's gonna end eventually. And even when I eat them now, I'm like, oh, I don't really feel, you know, like, and every time I do it, I'm like, yeah, this was not as good as the melon I could have had, you know, but I'm seeing it. And then I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't eat fries this week, or, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, cool, it's less and less now.
Yeah.
Instead of like, you only do this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you for that testimony, you know, just talking about seeing what's possible, you know, to be able to see it in another being who is still learning and growing, just like yourself. They're still on their journey, just like yourself. They're on their own path, just like yourself. And to see that, wow, they've achieved something for themselves that for a lot of people, for a majority of people, is, you know, so out there, just seemingly so impossible. Like you said, so alien, you know, just like galactic. Like, this person is out in super space, you know. That reminds me, my first, you know, pranic retreat, or what they call, you know, breatharian retreat with Elitam, you know, with Elitam Elamine. That was my first witnessing of, you know, just somebody moving and grooving with us, you know, exercising with us, doing qigong with us, meditating with us, walking with us, talking with us. And none of us ever saw him eat. We never saw him drink. He never had to take a break to use the restroom for all those hours every day. And we were going multiple days in a row. And I've done multiple retreats with him, like, for multiple years. Still, at this point, I still never seen him consume. So it was like, when you see that, it kind of starts to normalize it in your mind. Like, wait, this is actually doable. Like, this is possible. You know?
It's possible.
It's possible.
If you want it. And some people don't want it. Yeah, I've often thought that, like, and this is just my own take, but like, the apple from the tree was us falling from breatharianism. Like, I've often, like, when I thought of that, and that's just my own thoughts of like, oh, that wasn't forbidden wisdom, that was us actually stepping away from our power. And I was like, oh. And I've heard, you know, I think it was School of Gods. That's a great book. I think they might have mentioned it, or maybe something from Hilton Hotema.
Okay.
That, like, breatharians would have, you know, fruit because it would be like ambrosia. It would be like their one, like, treat of something. But it was just something that popped in my head when I first started learning all of this. I was like, wait, was the apple really us stepping away from our power? And like, what is that? I don't know.
I don't know. You know, they say curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought her back.
Yeah, that's me.
That's you.
That's me.
That's you. That's satisfaction.
That's
so, you know,
the lioness. Within.
And you got your mane right there, the lioness.
I am a Leo. Yep. I
Oh,
have
there it
my,
is. So you got that fire.
I'm the fire. I
That
am the
fire.
destroyer of illusions.
Wow, that Leo energy. Yeah,
No.
I'm a Leo rising.
Ah, I
Yeah.
see you. I see
It
you. I
takes
see
one.
you.
It takes one,
Yeah.
it takes one to know one. So we got that energy in there, it can come out when it needs to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And, fire, it can be, like you said, it can be so destructive, and
Mm-hmm.
it can also warm you.
Yeah.
It can be warm, it can
Mm-hmm.
be comforting, or it can be very, very enlightening, you know?
Yes. Yes.
For
I
sure.
love that.
For sure. So thank you so much for your energy. Thank you, Vanessa, just for coming on today. Like,
Mm-hmm.
thank you just for giving us all this wisdom, just all this, your words of encouragement, your words of empowerment, and just your words of like endearment towards not only others, but yourself, really just to yourself, like speaking these affirmations into yourself and just being an embodiment of love, acceptance. And I think the great theme for our conversation, it feels like grace,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
having grace with a smile on your face, that
To
we
be
don't
to feel
have.
the to feel the embrace.
Yes, yes, we don't have to erase, we don't have to chase, you
Mm-mm.
know?
It's all in place.
Yeah! Oh
And we're done.
man, blessings, blessings. You know what? If this is somebody's first time seeing you, Vanessa, and they're like, you know what, this girl is awesome. I want to learn more about her. I love her story. I love her thought. I love her mind. I want to, be able to get more in tune, get more in touch. Are there any places that people should go to if they want to, connect with you on that level? Any offerings, any services, like anything of that nature for people?
Yes. So on my Instagram is very much used in that way.
Okay.
I don't really like all the other paid platform ideas.
Mhm.
It would just be a direct message to me. I have the ability to teach everything that I know through this way online if needed, if they're not in a physical space close to me. I would love to share all of my lymphatic, all of my thoughts, hold space. I mean, I have 200 hours of yoga, but I have trained myself beyond that towards fascia. And so if anybody lives in pain every day, talk to me. We can make it go away.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be like that. And that's why I learned what I learned. I want to share it with everyone. So no gatekeeping here.
Of the mission.
If you want to know, I'll tell you.
I support it. I support the mission. I
Yeah.
support the mission. So much love to you, and I'll definitely be tagging you. I'll put it down there for you. She's already asking. She wants to see your handle. So it's Natural C Star, correct?
Yep.
Okay, Natural C Star, and we'll make sure that that's in the captions for everybody to know to follow
Yay.
you. So
Thank
much
you.
love.
So much love. I appreciate you fully, and thank you for having me in the space. And thank you for allowing us to connect and play and dance in this way. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure. My pleasure. Take
Bye.
care.
Take
Take
care.
care. Bye bye.